All right, everybody, this is Matt Slick from CARM, and I have on the screen here with me Eric Johnson from Mormonism Research Ministry. Eric, how long have we known each other? What, 20
It's
years,
been
25 years?
over 20 years, I bet. Yep.
Yeah. And so when I go to Salt Lake City, I often stay with Eric and stuff like that. Now, Eric, he works with Bill McKeever at Mormonism Research Ministry, mrm.org. It's a ministry to Mormons, reaching out to Mormons, and he's an expert. He and Bill are my go-to guys when I have a question about Mormonism I don't have an answer to. I just call them up and they give me a great answer. They know their stuff. Now, Eric is the guy who's heading up the Israel trip that we're talking about doing in 2022. We'll get some more information from him. And so I thought we would do is just talk about the trips. It's a video people can watch. He's going to answer a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions to ask him, and we'll do that. So thanks for coming on, Eric.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited about your trip.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It was a lot of fun. Last time I went, how long has it been until we went? 7 years?
Yeah, you went, well, 2013, so 8 years now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I like to brag that I've been in Qumran Cave 1 and drank out of the same well that Jesus was at in John 4. And I get to rub it in my friend's faces. Hey, I've been there, and they just give me a weird look like I'm an idiot, but that's okay. Bragging rights is great, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, you're going to read your Bible a lot differently
Yeah.
after you've been to these places, and you're going to realize the geography of Israel. You're going to actually be on real places, real sites that actually are talked about in the Bible. It's just
Yeah.
pretty exciting when you read your Bible and you come home and you can visualize things much better than if you have not been there. So I think it's an important trip for Christians to take at least once to be able to read their Bibles better than they can before.
Yeah, I agree. You just don't see the Bible the same. You see it even better. Okay, so let's talk about the trip. Where are we going? What's it going to look like? How's it work?
Oh, that's a great question. And if you're watching this video and you can push pause, do that. Go over to carmisrael.com. I'm going to go real quickly through the itinerary. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You can read all the details there. But under the itinerary part, we do have blue portions that are for videos, as well as links to the hotel site. You can see all the hotels we're going to stay at. They're all 4-star hotels. Also, I have videos taken by a pastor, Lauren Pankratz, a friend of mine. He came in 2017 and he took these videos. And so, like, for instance, day 3, Caesarea Megiddo. They're short, 3 minutes. You'll get a chance to see what you will really see. And this is, by the way, going to be my 14th or 15th trip in the past decade. I've taken over 400 people to Israel. So I'm excited to go with you guys. I'll be with you, Matt, and Anik, and whoever else is there. But we've had a chance to share with many people. So if you're at the website, carmisrael.com, I'm going to skip right over to day 3, which is the first full day. It takes 2 days to travel there because there's a 10-hour time lapse. We have the date line and all of that we have to go past. So it takes 2 days to get there. And then day 3, first full day, March 12, 2022, we're going to start on the coast at the Mediterranean Sea, Caesarea, a very important place talked about in the book of Acts, built by Herod the Great. We're going to then drive to the Sea of Galilee, and we're going to stop off at Mount Carmel, Megiddo, and Nazareth. Megiddo, you might be familiar with that as Har Megiddo or Armageddon. And so we'll have a chance to see that. Mount Carmel, of course, that's where we see Elijah, who contested against the priests of Baal. And Nazareth, we're going to go to Nazareth. We're going to go to Nazareth Village, which is a place that's run by the Southern Baptists, and they put you back in time 2,000 years to see how people actually lived. It's really a cool place to visit. Day 4, we're going to be going to Northern Galilee. We're going to see sites such as Dan, Caesarea Philippi. We're going to stop off at Magdala, a site you haven't seen, Matt. Magdala was just discovered about a decade ago. The Catholic Church was going to build right off of the Sea of Galilee, and what they found was archaeological remains. And so they ended up digging, and they discovered a synagogue. We're going to visit a synagogue that's only been open for about 4 years now. We can't go inside, but we can see from the outside. This synagogue, scholars say, definitely Jesus had been at. This is where Mary Magdalene was at, lived. And so we know for sure Jesus would have been in that synagogue. Day 5, March 14th, we're going to places like Capernaum, Mount of Beatitudes. We're going all over the Sea of Galilee. We're going to go to Bethsaida, and I'll talk a little later about some baptisms we can do there. We're going to take a boat ride. Do you remember the boat ride, Matt, going
Yeah.
on the Sea of Galilee? It's just,
Yes. Casting the
it,
net out.
yeah, yeah. They throw the net out, and then they catch a fake fish usually. But it's fun to see how they did that. Day 6, we're going to be going to Qumran. We're going to drive all the way from up north, and we're going to go down. And would you believe, almost the northernmost part of Israel down to almost the southernmost part? We're talking 3 hours. This is a very small country, but we're going to go to Qumran. You talked about Cave 1. We'll have a chance to go there. Masada, Camel Ride, Dead Sea. We're gonna get a chance to see these. We're going to end up at the Dead Sea and spend the night there. People can float in the Dead Sea. They also have, it's a resort, so you'll have a chance to go in the basement where they have a lot of spas. Day 7, we're going to go to En-Gedi, Herodium, Bethlehem. We're making our way to Jerusalem. We're going to stop at some of these sites there. Again, you can read all of this. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm trying to get you to understand that this is a trip. We're going to see a lot of sites. It's a 13-day trip, not a 10-day trip or a 9-day trip. And whenever you hear 10 days, it's not really 10 days. It's 3 days of travel. So it's a 7 days on the ground. We're 10 days on the ground, and most trips are only 9, 10, maybe 11 at the most. We're 13. Day 8, we're going to be in Jerusalem now. We're going to go behind the Western Wall. What's called the Wailing Wall. We'll go to the Temple Mount area, run by the Muslims, and we'll have a chance to see the Muslim area there, but what used to be the Holy of Holies, where the Dome of the Rock is. Pool of Bethesda. We're going to go to St. Anne's Church, Southern Steps. Then we're going to get on the bus and we're going to go drive to the Valley of Elah, where David fought Goliath. And that is an incredible place. We'll also stop at Lachish. A lot of places we're going to. Day 9, we're going to have a friend of mine. This is the incredible part, that Joel Kramer, an archaeologist who's a very devout Christian, is going to be joining us for 3 days. And he's going to take us to places a lot of people don't go. We're going to have a chance to go to Jacob's well and drink water out of the well that Jacob built and that Jesus and the Samaritan woman talked at in John chapter 4. The scholars, the archaeologists, are 99.8% certain that this is the actual well. Shechem, Samaria, Bethel and Ai. Nobody goes to Bethel and Ai, but Joel is an archaeologist and he's dug at Ai. So he will be able to show us things there, a lot of the Old Testament especially. Day 10, we're going to be going to places that many Christians don't go. In fact, this will be new for you, Matt. You didn't get a chance to go to Mamre or Hebron, very important site. Qumran, this is where we're actually going to go to Qumran. I got to fix that on the day 4, but Jericho. We're going to have a chance to spend this time with Joel Kramer, and he has an incredible way of describing what happened at these sites. Day 11, we're going to be doing some more Jerusalem things. Hezekiah's tunnel. You're going to have a chance to walk through a tunnel that's 2,700 years old, and you're going to get a chance to see David's real tomb, not the one in the city of Jerusalem, but actually there's a place that Joel is convinced is where David would have been buried. We'll go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We're going to end up there, the Church of the Apostles, where Joel believes that the apostles actually met. And so it's a little different than what other tours are going to have. So you're going to get a real biblical perspective from an archaeological point of view. Our last day, we're going to do a resurrection day. I mean, what a beautiful place to celebrate. It's not Easter. We're going to be there in March, but it's just before Easter. And so we're going to go to the Church of All Nations, Gethsemane. We're going to go to the place where he was judged, called the Pavement. We'll go to the Holy Sepulchre again, and then we'll end up in the Garden Tomb with some free time in Jerusalem. So these are all sites that we're going to get a chance to see. I just wanted to go through that, and I would ask people to go and spend some time clicking on the videos, looking at the hotels, getting an idea, compare with any other trip, and I think you're going to see more than most trips are going to offer.
It sounds like fun. Yeah, and having been there and some of the things you said, I remember. I remember AI, for those that want to look at the Bible. I remember looking at that. I remember Hezekiah's tunnel, walking through that. You got to have a flashlight. You got to walk through stuff. And then one of my favorite things was Qumran Cave 1, being actually in that, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. But one of the one of the funnest things for me was actually the bus rides, because everybody, I was surprised. Nobody talked about this, but you actually become friends with all kinds of people on the bus, and you switch seats and you just talk, and it really was a lot of fun. I remember that. It was really one of my favorite things about it. It was,
Yeah.
so I had a good
Well,
time.
your group was, I mean, I've had good groups. I've taken, like I said, more than a dozen trips, but I'm going to say the 2013 group, it was a lot of people from Utah. And we had several churches that came with us. And I'm going to say that might have been my favorite trip. Bill McKeever was with us, of course. Yeah, it was just an adventure. I look at that trip very fondly, and I remember it very well, even though it was 8 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. We also went to the Seven Churches of Revelation in Turkey, but that was a different trip altogether. But I remember that, and I remember Ephesus. How wonderful it is! When
Yeah.
I read Ephesians, I go, "Oh, I've been there. See the place where Paul walked, the same road."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so here's something that's on my mind, our minds. COVID. How's this going to affect everything?
Yeah, and that's the question I'm getting a lot of as I'm doing other trips as well. Everybody wants to know what the rules are going to be. Will we have to wear masks? Are we going to have to be vaccinated? And all I'm going to be able to say at this point, and we're doing this in March of 2021, is we just don't know. We don't know for sure. Now, Israel is supposed to open up this summer. And if you're watching this after the summer, you're going to know we're not able to see it from that point of view. But I'm going to say, this is when I'm talking about a year away. Are we going to have to wear masks? Very possible, but we just don't know. As far as vaccination, we don't know, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Most likely, they might require that for a month or two, but they realize that a lot of people aren't going to come, so they might end up having people tested, and you might have to do some tests. We'll figure all that out later. Right now, we want to plan to go because Israel is going to be completely vaccinated by they say by June, and they will reopen their country. And then tourism is a big part of what they do. So all I can say on that, Matt, is we'll have to wait and see. But according to Pilgrim Tours, which is the official company that is taking care of all the arrangements, they said 98% chance this trip will happen. COVID's not going to stop it like it had stopped all trips in 2020. And even at the time we're talking right now, people have still not returned. But they'll figure out the rules, and we're going to have to just go with what they say.
Sounds good. I'm not worried about it. I had COVID, and my wife did too. So, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't a big deal for me, but she she went through a bit of stress.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's talk about the costs and things like that, and just getting there, the land portion, and flights and stuff like that.
Well, and we're talking before May, and in May we're going to get to find out how much the cost of the air is, and where we're going to fly out of. We're not sure. We two possibilities would be Chicago or Newark, and that would be more centrally located for many people. But if we have a lot of people from the West, and I know some people from Utah who are thinking of coming on this trip, if I can get 10 people, we can also have two trips. One that would go out of either Newark or Chicago, and another that could go out of San Francisco or Los Angeles. We're not sure. But right now, I'm only going to tell you the price of the land portion, which would be $38.95. And that's all inclusive, $38.95 without the air, but it does include 4-star hotels everywhere we go. And you can vouch for me, Matt, on that.
Yeah,
The
they were good.
hotels are nice.
Yeah, they
Bre-
were.
yeah, breakfast, dinner buffets. You're going to eat. You're going to have plenty to eat. You'll never go hungry. We have my guide Andre Sharma. He's a Christian who lives in Israel, and he's from Nazareth actually, and he is an awesome guide. You haven't met him yet, Matt, but you're going to really enjoy him. I also have my favorite driver who works well with Andre, Azam. All your admission fees are covered. All your taxes and tips, wherever we go, you're not tipping. I am, and I'm tipping very generously. So there's no nickel and diming here. Now, what's not included in that would be the airfare, as I said, which we figure is going to add from either Chicago or Newark about $1,300 to $1,400. We'll know that in May. And if you're seeing this after May, you'll see the price of the flight on there. Also, transportation to and from the airport is not included, $75 per way. But for those who fly with us, that will be included. But if you're going to fly yourself, then and that's possible. You can go without having to fly with us, but you are going to have to find your way to the airport or to the hotel from the airport, and then from Jerusalem to get back to the airport. Most of your lunches are not included. Snacks and souvenirs and transportation to and from the airport from where we fly is not included. So those are things that are not included. I think they're pretty obvious, but when you're on this trip, for the most part, everything else is going to be included. And I think that's nice. You don't have to worry about, oh, how much am I going to owe at the end of this trip? It's already covered.
Yeah. One of the things I remember was the food. I thought it might be a big culture shock, but I was really impressed by the food. And we went to different places. You get different styles of food, and some I like better than others. But that was really a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
really did enjoy the food thing. And then we took I think Jamin, one of the guys there. I'd get bread and he'd get olives. We both found out that we both loved olives, so we would eat olives on the trip. From place to place. It was fun.
Yeah, and the lunches, most of them are not included. We do have one for sure that's included, and that would be a St. Peter's fish lunch. It's kind of a fun thing to do. But as far as that goes, they're usually $10 or $12 for a sandwich, like shawarma or falafel. That's very common. It's fast food in Israel, and I think it's great to try out the food. Besides the hotel food, they'll have some of that stuff, but it's really fun to go to the street and to actually go
Yeah.
to a place and actually have a chance to eat the food. When you're in Rome, do as the Romans do, and when you're in Israel, do as the Jews do. And we want
Yeah.
to give you a full experience, of course.
Is there going to be a shopping time? So you want to go out to Israel? Because we did that to different bookstores.
Yeah, we will have shopping. There will be a free afternoon on that last day. You'll have a chance to be able to shop then. And at night after we get back, we usually are back at the hotel by 5 or 5:30. We have dinner usually at 6:30. You're free to take a taxi cab when we're in Jerusalem and go. That's the best place to shop in the old city there, and just be able to. Yeah, you'll have plenty of time to shop. Plus, I can introduce you to some friends of mine who sell antiquities, old coins, old pots,
Really?
and ceramic kinds of things that are 2,000 plus years old. And I can introduce you to them. They're great investments, and it's really cool to own things that are found in the ground and it's legal. So that would be a possibility for people as well.
Okay, so what time in the morning do we get up to go get on the bus? We're going to be on the bus by what time each morning?
Well, normally, what we're going to have on an average day, 6:30 in the morning, is going to be a wake-up call. Breakfast will be at 7:30, and then we usually, excuse me, I say that again, 6 o'clock wake-up call. 6:30 breakfast starts, and it goes till about 7:15. And 7:30 is typically when we get on the bus, and we'll be gone all day, whether we're going to another hotel or whether we come back to that same hotel. And then usually we're back by 5:30. We try to get you back so you can get a shower before dinner. Dinner's generally at 6:30. Usually you'll be done by 7:30. You can retire for the night because you might be tired. It's going to be a lot of walking, 4 to 6 miles a day on the average. This is not a trip that you're able to bring a wheelchair or a walker. It will be it's going to be something. We don't have enough room under the bus for everybody to have those. And we're going to be doing a lot of walking. Besides on pavement, we're going to be on archaeological sites. So you're going to have to be able to endure to be able, if you're going to participate, and you're certainly free to stay on the bus whenever you're tired, but it is a very active tour. It's not a retirement tour. I would say that. Even though you might be retirement age, that's fine if you're able to walk and be able to get along with us to from site to site, because it is a very active tour. I specialize in these active tours because I believe people want to see as much as they possibly can.
My wife has medical issues, and we're going to arrange for a wheelchair there, right?
She will have
Yeah.
that option because she's married to you. She's got high connections, of course, but yeah, no, but for the average person, some people think, oh, I'll just bring my walker. Well, I'm going to say half the sites you can't use a walker because it's dirt
Right.
and sand. We tried that. I tried that on one trip. I took retired people, and the first site, Caesarea, we couldn't get the wheelchair. Somebody had a wheelchair, and we couldn't get them out of the sand. So then I realized real quick, this is just not a trip for wheelchairs
Right.
and for any kind of help that way. I encourage a cane. I have people with 2 canes, and they'll use that to walk. Those are fine, but we just don't have room for everybody to have that.
Yeah. I'm going to bring my cane. It opened up to a little seat. My wife can use it when she gets tired of walking.
There you go. There you go.
That's right. Okay, so we got the costs, and we talked about Israel being safe, because it is, which I felt really safe. In fact, a lot of people I've talked to, when we're in Tel Aviv, we're flying into Tel Aviv. When we got there, I felt at home. It was the weirdest sensation. It just felt like I was home.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, we got the cost, and what about insurance and deposits, things like that?
Yeah, let me tell you about how much it costs to sign up. It's a $500 deposit. $375 is refundable if you cancel by Thanksgiving. And after that, you would lose all $500. The final payment is going to be due January 2022. You have up to, well, you have credit cards that can be used. So you don't have to have all the money. You can actually use the credit card, get your miles or whatever you want to get for that. But we recommend people save. So if you sign up earlier in the year, put aside some money. Some people do ask about if the trip gets canceled. I just want to say that we're going to make a final determination in November. We're going to know a lot more when it comes to November. If there's anything iffy, like COVID just goes back out of control and Israel's closed or whatever else, we might have to postpone the trip. And you would have the option, if we had to do that, you would get all your deposit money back, or you could transfer it to the postponed trip. Now, sometime later in 2022, or maybe we do it in 2023. We don't imagine that's going to happen this time, but we do have that as a possibility. Or if the government does not let us travel, you're going to get all the money back from your deposit if it's forced on you. But if you cancel, you do lose $125 of that $500 before November. As far as the insurance, there are 2 insurance policies, and this is really important before you register. The first one is, it costs 7.25%, and there's a link on the website, CARMisrael.com. Go to CARMisrael.com, and it talks about insurance. Click the link, and it shows you what the 2 policies are. That's going to cover everything from if you get hurt to if you lose your luggage. It's a lot of things that the insurance does cover, and I highly recommend it. And in fact, it covers COVID. So let's say you get COVID in March, right before the trip, and you can't go. You'll get all your money back because you have the insurance policy. But the 7.25% one is about $350 or so. I recommend that for everybody. There's another one that's 9.75%. It's called the 80% plan. That one is, if you cancel for any reason, even the week before the trip, you will get 80% of your money back. Some people who have elderly parents or just are really uncertain, maybe I'll have to cancel at the last minute. This might be something worthwhile. It's going to cost about $500, so it's a little more, but you do have that peace of mind. It's the same insurance as the 7.25%, but it does offer that 80% back. You have to choose. I'm not going to tell you which insurance to get. I just think you need to get one of those 2. For most people, the first policy is okay and you're fine. For some who are a little more nervous and want to make sure they save, they don't lose all their money at the end, which would be after you've paid in January and then something happens between January and March, you might want that higher policy. If you want the 80% plan at 9.75% though, you have to order that at registration. The insurance companies will not let you get that right before the trip. You have to order it now, and you have to pay for it now. Now, you'll get your money back if the trip gets canceled, but just so you know, if you're wanting the higher policy, then you'll want to get the you'll order that on when you register, and then you're going to want to go ahead and pay it, and that's going to be $350 plus $500. So per person, that's going to be around $850 just to sign up.
Okay, now let's say they have a lot of questions that we're not covering. How could they get a hold of you?
They can contact me on the website. It has my email, Eric, ERIC, at mrm.org, MaryRichardMary.org. And so they can contact me that way. And certainly I can answer questions that they don't feel got answered on the website. But look over the website first. In fact, I have a Q&A at the bottom, and I think that will be helpful for people.
Good. I do recommend people go. I'm excited about going. My wife wants to go, and we're hoping to go. It's just a lot of fun. It's just great.
Yeah.
It really is a
Yeah.
good time. Felt safe, secure. I liked it. All right, so let's say they want to go. How do they sign up?
Well, they're going to go to carmisrael.com. There's a registration button at the top. Click that. Lenny is our rep. So you would put Lenny Hoover. He's the rep, and you'll need information on emergency contacts. The trip name, they're going to ask for that in there. It's called CARM Israel. It's easy to remember because that's the name of the website. Now, if you have a passport, yeah, that's great. You can put your passport information in there. Your passport has to be good through September of 2022. They require 6 months after you've been there. So it has to be through September. If you don't have a passport or you need to renew, just leave that information for the passport empty. That's fine. We'll get it from you later. And then that's where you decide if you're going to get the insurance or not. The regular insurance policy does not need to be paid until January of 2022. The 80% policy, yes, you're going to have to pay that, as I mentioned earlier. And finally, if you're going as a couple, well, then you already have roommates. You can order a single room. It's going to cost $1,100 more to have a single room, which is nice if you're single, but it costs a little more. Or you can request a roommate. And so we will do our best with other single people, and we will contact you and tell you, hey, here are the two people. Here's the other person. You can determine if that's a person that you can work with. But like you said, Matt, people end up making friends. They not only become Facebook friends. I have people who have traveled to visit their old roommates or people on the trip. So that's kind of fun as well.
Yeah, it was. It was a blast. It was. Okay. So we've talked about a bunch of stuff here, and we talked about how to sign up. So it's on the site, carmisrael.com, and prepping to go.
Yeah.
What would you say about prepping to go?
Yeah, I want people to know that you're not just signing up and then we won't see you until March. I am going to be traveling too. I get to come. I'll be working with the guide. I'm going to do my best. So Matt, you have nothing to do. My
Good.
goal
That's
is,
I like that.
yeah, because otherwise there's lots to do, including giving
Yeah.
out tips and taking care of people's complaints. And so Andre and I are
You
going to
know,
make sure everything it runs smoothly.
I remember that you were
Yeah.
busy. You
Oh, I
took
was.
care of a lot of stuff. I remember. So
Yeah.
where's Eric? Oh, he's over there talking to so and so, arranging.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
I'm on the phone and I get calls at 3 in the morning, which is why I'm going to have a single room because, those are the things that a roommate won't want to deal with. But I deal with it because it's part of what I do. But when they sign up, Matt, they're going to get a welcome package from me. And it will be my favorite book that I like to give to travelers who are coming, the pilgrims, Holy Land for Christian Travelers. It's an awesome book. And it just came out a couple of years ago. I give that to everybody, and I'm going to send you a copy of that as well, Matt, as well as a DVD by Joel Kramer, the archaeologist who's going to be joining us, called Jericho on Earth. And we're going to go to Jericho. He's going to show us where the walls fell down. He's going to show us the burn layers and reasons why Jericho is excellent as far as an archaeological proof for what took place in the Bible around 1400 BC. And so you'll get that DVD, and he explains everything there. And then you'll get to hear him teach right there as well.
Yeah.
And then throughout the year, I'm going to be writing regular emails this summer and throughout the fall. And it's going to be filled with announcements, traveling tips, educational materials, including recommendations I have. Video links. I've shot a lot of Joel Kramer, and I have a number of videos of the sites we're going to visit. You'll get links to those. And then in January and February, I'm going to go to once a week rather than every 2 to 3 weeks. Starting in the summer, I'll go maybe every 2, 3, 4 weeks or so, somewhere in there. I'll write emails, but I'll get really active in January and February. And then at Christmas, there's a 50-day prayer guide I put together. It will be individually aimed at our group. We're going to study the book of Mark for those who want to participate. And we're going to have some of the sites that we will visit on there as well. And then let me just do that with the phone. I didn't take that off. On the trip, I also will have a pocket-sized travel guide that will be individualized for our trips. I'll hand those out. And then here's the thing. We're only bringing one bus. This is important. The room is limited. So we have had, and I'm talking again in March, we haven't opened it up yet, but we're feeling that there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go. If we get 45 or more, and again, one bus, then every paying traveler is going to receive $100 cash on the first day of the trip. that you'll be able to use for lunches or souvenirs. So $38.95 is land only. Everybody will get $100 off. That, well, not off. I'm going to hand it to you as cash on day one, so you can use it for other expenses.
That's if what
But
happens?
if we get 45 or more paying travelers who are not, I'm sorry, not just 45 or more total travelers, not paying travelers. That includes chaperones, includes me, it includes you, Matt. And then if we get that 45, that's my goal. Then I'm going to give everybody a benefit of $100,
Okay.
and so you can count that as, well, it's $100 less than what the trip really costs. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this is a trip that you never forget. So that's
You
my
won't
goal
forget it.
as being, and so there's a lot that I'm doing to make this more than just if you signed up at an agency and you don't hear from them again until the time you actually go.
One of the things that a lot of people don't talk about is the weather. And I remember when I went, the weather was very comfortable.
Yeah.
It was nice. You might need a sweater maybe late at night, and I think we wore shorts and had a hat, and it was comfortable. So a lot
Yeah,
of people don't know.
and that's a great point. I didn't talk about the weather, but the weather is, it could rain. It's like, think about San Diego. It's very much like March in San Diego. It has a desert feel to it. In the daytime in March, it should be anywhere in the 60s, 70s, maybe even into the 80s. Now I'm talking about this past February. It snowed there in February, so there's a slight chance, but it only happens maybe once a year. So to see, I've seen snow in Jerusalem. It's pretty special. In 2015, it's really rare, but it can get down at night, to 40 degrees maybe. So you'll want to have a sweatshirt, especially in the mornings and the evenings. You'll want to have a little bit of warmth there. But overall, the weather is excellent. If it does rain, it usually rains for about an hour or less, and then it stops. And so, you survive. I've had it where it's rained all day, but that is very, very rare. It's in March. It's a really good time to travel. And the nice thing, Matt, is everything is green. I don't know if you remember this, but this land is usually desert. But in March, after it's been raining, in January, February are big rain months. You're going to find a lot of greenery. It's really cool.
Okay. Yeah, it was nice. It really was. One thing was a pleasant experience. All right, let's talk baptisms because I know people want to get baptized in the Jordan.
Yeah, I found a place the last time I went. I was there just before COVID hit. I was on 2 trips, and I found a place near Bethsaida. My guide Andre said, "You got to try this place. It's not the touristy place. If you've been to Israel, you know what I'm talking about. It's a nice place. There's no doubt about it. But this place is, there's a little jetty right off of where the rushing Jordan River is going, and you can actually use that for baptisms." And so you said, Matt, you're willing to baptize people.
Mhm.
You're asking that people have given their life to Jesus and they want to make a public confession, that they would be willing to give a short testimony of 2 or 3 minutes, and somebody from the group would pray for you, and then you would actually have them come in the water. They can either be immersed, or you're willing to sprinkle them however they want. We're just asking that you either haven't been baptized, or if you were baptized at an age you don't remember and you want to be rebaptized. We're not looking to do 40 baptisms. I mean, it will take us too long to do this, but we want to make it special for those, especially who have never been baptized or don't remember, or maybe you came back to the Lord after running away and you want to rededicate your life. Then we can make that happen. You, Matt, will take care of that. I will give you the names. We'll ask people this fall who wants to get baptized, and then I'm going to put them over to you, and I'm going to let you talk to them and just make sure that they're worthy candidates and that they have actually given their lives. But everybody can go in the river. That's going to be fine. But we just want to keep the baptism special. But it is really special. And even if you're not the one getting baptized, it seems like for many people, this is a top 5 occurrence when they go to Israel. They'll point to this as watching the baptisms and how special that was. A lot of tears are shed. The testimonies, even just a couple of minutes, are very touching. And so we walk away from there energized in our spirituality. We're also going to do another ordinance. We're going to have the Lord's Supper, and we'll do that probably at the Garden Tomb, and you will lead that service. In fact, Matt, you're going to be doing devotionals all through the land of Israel. and we'll have other people giving them as well. But people are going to want to hear you, and so you last time got off easy. You only did, I think, one. You're going to be doing a lot just to 10 minutes, and you're going to hear Matt Slick's talk on whatever the site is. Plus, you said that you might be willing to do a little teaching on the bus, so we can
That'd be
do
fun.
that. And so when we're having a drive for an hour. Hey, Matt wants to talk about this issue, and so you'll get some for those who love CARM, and you guys can maybe ask questions of Matt, and so that might be kind of a fun thing. Plus, what's fun is you're going to get a chance to eat meals with Matt and Anik Slick. They're going to be eating, and we ask people to change all the time, so don't always eat with the same people. Give people the chance to meet Matt. And also when we have our archaeologist Joe Kramer, we'll have people with an opportunity to eat with him. You'll find out a lot during dinners. The dinners are probably some of my favorite times.
Yeah, if you have dinner with my wife and I, you're really going to be impressed with her. Me, you're gonna be going, what the heck did she see in that guy? But that's usually what happens.
No truer words were ever spoken.
That
Yeah.
it is true. It is true.
You married above your pay grade, Matt. I'm
Way
just telling
above.
you. Yeah.
Well, I tell people that she was predestined from the foundation of the world to marry me because otherwise she wouldn't have done it. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's a good woman, except for
Yeah.
taste in men.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
married up too. Terry's great.
I did. I'd be the first to admit that as well. But no, I mean, you're underestimating yourself. I think people are going to want to hear what you have to say at these sites. They're going to want to have dinner with you. I mean, where else are you going to be able to meet Matt in such a way? So that's why I think this trip is really special. And you're right. People from all over the country are going to be coming. We don't know where
Yeah.
they're all going to come from, but I'm going to guess we'll have at least 7 or 8 states represented. This is not a typical trip that I do that that I'm usually focusing on a certain geographic area. This one, you have people who listen to you all over the United States, possibly even the world. We could have some people from other countries. And I'm going to tell you, to have Joe Kramer for 3 days as a guide is going to be incredible. Now, I need to state real quick, Matt, that he lives in Jordan. Right now, he can't get out of Jordan. I'm guessing in a year, I'm talking a year from now, Jordan will be open to Israel and everything else, and so he should be able to get over. But if somehow he gets locked in, that's going to be the way. That's the risk we have to take. But otherwise, he will be with us. You're going to read your Bible differently. I promise you that. And I'm going to say this: I'm not trying to be fatalistic, but traveling while there is still time. I believe very firmly COVID was a short term, can't travel for a year, but I think there's going to be a time we won't be able to travel, whether it's issues with Iraq, whether it's a Palestinian issue, whether the government won't let us in. I don't know, but to walk where Jesus walked while there's still time to do a trip like this, I think is incredible.
What about cell phones?
Cell phones, we do have wireless on the bus, and there will be the opportunity to use wireless in the hotels. Now, sometimes in your rooms it could be a little weak, but always in the if you go down to the dining room, and they usually have places for people to sit around with couches and other things like that. Very good, strong signals, so you will be able to keep in contact with everybody. You can use your phones. Depends on your own personal phone company. Mine lets me call out 10 cents a minute. And so that's how T-Mobile works, 10 cents a minute, not a big deal. But I pretty much will call home using Skype at night. I'll talk to my wife or whoever I want to talk to. And that's free when you're on wireless and usually very strong. So it's when I first started going to Israel back in 2009, it was terrible. You had to rent a phone. Now you don't have to do that. Bring your cell phones. I will be handing out flashlights for everybody. I hate seeing it when people are in the tunnel, Hezekiah's tunnel, or they're looking in wells and they use their flashlights and they're trying to look in there. It just bothers me. So I'm going to give you a flashlight. Do not use your phone over a well. I mean, why would you do that? Because it's stupid. You drop that thing, you're not getting it back. And we are going to be looking at water sources like that. So yeah, you can have your phone with you. Just want to be careful you don't lose it, and you can charge it. They even have chargers on the bus, so you'll be able to do that as well.
Man, it makes me want to go right now. It does. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it. So I guess we could, I mean, the last bit about remind them how to sign up if they're interested.
Yeah, and I want to remind them again. There's only one bus. I've sold out many other trips, and I won't take a second bus because I want this to be the same experience across the board. But if you sign up now, there's still room. You'll get to go. But to do so, what you do is you go to carmisrael.com. Go to the register link at the top of that website, fill out the information as we talked about. Lenny is our operator. CARM Israel is the name of the tour. Pay the $500 deposit. Now, it's possible you could push send and not pay the deposit. You're not signed up. It's not a sign up unless you actually pay that deposit. $375 is refundable if you cancel for whatever reason before November. And again, if we cancel the trip in the fall and we say, oh, it's not going to work, we will go ahead and get you all $500 back. So there's very little risk here. And as you mentioned, I'm willing to talk on the email. And if you want to talk on the email and you want to talk to me in person, I'll exchange my phone number with you and we can talk, set up a time for that. So I'm happy to answer all the questions, but I'm just saying, if you're going to go on this, take it seriously, sign up, because I don't know, this could very well be a trip that ends up selling out, and you don't want to be put on a wait list and not be able to go, because this might be once in a lifetime to go with Matt Slick and CARM.
Yeah, we got a radio show on East Coast and Ohio and in Utah also. We've already got one of our CARM affiliates in Africa who wants to go. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just hope it all works out. You just never know. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And we got a guy in Colombia who would like to go. Another guy in Brazil. So it just depends.
Love to take them. I love taking pastors and ministry leaders because I've had a chance to take over 24, and it changes the way that they teach.
Yep.
The pastors, it changes the way they preach. They are better equipped by having been there. And for a layperson, you really will benefit out of this. This is not just a trip to Hawaii. You could spend this much money going, for a couple of weeks to Hawaii, but this is a trip that's going to benefit you spiritually. So I think it's money as an investment, not a frivolous use of God's money.
No, it is worth it. Yeah, and it does affect, and you get a little bit of bragging rights. Yeah, I've been there. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of bragging rights,
There you go.
Like I get to brag. I've been in Qumran Cave 1, which I think is awesome. That's where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, the first cave. I like that one. That just gets me.
I think you need to go to our site and see all the pictures of Matt when he was traveling, and
when I weighed a lot less.
Yeah, and you gave a devotional at the very bottom. Matt Slick gives a devotional in Bethlehem, and then you got to find Matt in the picture at Caesarea. He's in there somewhere. He's not hard actually to find, but anyway, he was there, so that proves that he was there, and it tells you about Joel Kramer in there. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things on there. You definitely want to look at the website, carmisrael.com, and then pray about this. See if this is a trip you're supposed to go on.
All right. Well, I guess that's it, Eric. So thanks for doing this little interview thing about it. I think people like it. It'll be good.
It's my pleasure. And again, if you have any questions, contact me, eric@mrm.org. And I look forward to communicating with you throughout the year and seeing you in Israel in March.
All right. All right. Well, God bless everybody. And thanks again, Eric.
All right.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right.